This is The Tea Mind with me, Erica Moore. It's a space to slow down, step out of the noise and see things a little more clearly. Some episodes are conversations about the moment that clicked and what changed afterwards. Others are shorter clarity sessions, just a few minutes to come back to yourself and think clearly in the middle of a full day. Because when the usual pace stops working and everything starts to feel a little unclear, the answer isn't more input, it's creating a moment to see what is already there. And at the end, I'll share a simple tea ritual that you can try yourself. So welcome, and today's conversation is with Katharina Geissler-Evans, founder of Heiter magazine. And it's much more than a magazine, it's a publication and a whole community that's really centred around living intentionally, living with creativity and finding those little moments of joy in everyday life, which is why I'm so excited to have her on the Tea Mind podcast today, because that's what we try and do through pausing for tea every day. So in this chat, we're going to be talking about finding your path and creating little cheerful moments along the way, and also digging into the moment that Katharina realised she wanted to build a slower, more intentional way of living and creating. So pop the kettle on and join us as we discuss what happens when we slow down enough to quieten down that noise a little bit and find a way back to ourselves. So Katharina, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today. How are you?
I am really well. Thanks so much for having me, Erica. It's such an honour to be here.
It's nice. Yeah, we're both fellow Edinburgh business owners, so it's nice to meet you at long last.
Yes, really.
So I'd love to start just by finding out where your story starts. Tell me a little bit more about your background.
Yeah, so I do have a background in fashion media, actually. I studied at London College of Fashion, and my studies had a really heavy journalism focus. There was a big focus on magazines, but even before that, I've always loved magazines. Magazines were the things I spent my pocket money on when I was in primary school, and then later on. And my studies really encouraged me to go deeper into the topic, and eventually over the years lead me to bringing out my own print publication.
Fantastic. Yeah. So what kind of jobs did you have before you started Heiter?
Yeah, well, before I even studied at before I studied at university, I actually worked as a nursery teacher. That was my first diploma. I'm originally from Austria, and in Austria, you start after secondary school. You can already go to particular schools where you do an education in addition to your normal A-levels, and that is what I did for nursery teaching. So I started off teaching, which was a lot, well, in a way about mindfulness already, I guess, or intentional living, the way you bring up your little ones, or other people's little ones in that sense. And I was always passionate about journalism, as I also already said, and fashion. So I knew that at some point I wanted to change careers and work in the fashion industry. So when I was 23, I think, I quit my teaching job, moved to New York first for a fashion internship, and when I was there, already applied at London College of Fashion, and got in. Started to study full-time at first, and then during my second year already, I took on a full-time job in a marketing department at a British retailer, and from there moved into luxury fashion over the years, finished my studies, and then went more into publishing.
And what is it that you've always been really passionate about magazines? What is it about them?
I think holding the actual physical copy in your hands. That's, I guess, something that only developed over the years when the world became more and more digitalized. So I still really enjoyed it, holding something in my hand, the smell of paper, the actual activities of going through a magazine. But then the content, of course, the inspirational content, it's a little bit like an escape, I would say. Yeah. And there's a lot of creativity in there. It inspires me for my creative work, and yeah, I simply love it.
When you were working in the fashion world and writing and all that, were you sort of happy doing that? How was it? Fast paced? Was it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there will always be a part about the fashion industry that I admire. That is the creativity and the beautiful clothing. Um, I loved being in a really creative environment. But yeah, with creative jobs, especially if they're attached to an e-commerce business, for instance, it is very fast-paced, as you said, and of course, there's a very commercial side to it. And it was fun to be involved for a bit, and see the businesses I worked for grow. It was all very exciting, but I realized very quickly that it's probably not the best environment for me. Back in 2016, that was actually also the year I graduated from uni. I burned out, and that was definitely very much connected to the job I had back then, and of course, going to university on the side. And at that point, I still went to uni and worked in London, but we lived about an hour out of London, and I had that commute on top, and it just all got too much for me. And that was the first time I realized that perhaps I should make changes. And I guess it was the start of slowly starting to remove myself from that very fast-paced world I was in.
Wow. So yeah, there's a lot going on there, obviously, at that time. And looking back on it now, how long a period do you think was building up to that burnout experience?
Probably 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
I was in my 20s back then. And I have said that in interviews before, but I do believe that now that I'm in my late 30s, my 20s were very much about, fulfilling other people's expectations and thinking that the way to go was building that career, and career was just more important than anything else. And it was only in my 30s where I realized that my own expectations were more important than, what my CV looked like. And just simply ignoring my own needs really made things go downhill, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's something really key there in that we do get a lot of feedback all the time if we're listening for it, but I think we just move so fast in society these days. We're not really, our brains and our bodies aren't really built for the time that we're living in. And yeah, we're just conditioned to have more and more and more, and think of that as success.
Yes. Yeah. Well, especially because other people tell you.
Exactly. Yeah, it's conditioning, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it was definitely it was just such a life-changing experience in the end. The actual burnout, and I don't think I would have realized without it. It was literally my body telling me to stop from one day to the next. I was physically not capable to do anything anymore, and getting to the point meant that I ignored my inner voice for a really long time. Yeah, my body had to show me that something was wrong.
Yeah, and that happens all too often, doesn't it? Because it's so easy to just ignore all these warning signs, and then suddenly you don't get a choice anymore. It's like, first of all, you get a little pebble, and then another little pebble, and they get bigger and bigger, and finally the boulder comes, and just you have to stop.
Yeah.
So yeah, what was that time like for you then? Tell me more about your journey.
Yeah. Well, when it happened, I was really devastated because, I wanted to succeed. I wanted to be good at the things I was doing. I wanted to, do really well at uni. And my job, I was very close to a promotion. So obviously I wanted to show that I could do it and be up for it, I guess. And then being at the point of not being able to do any of it anymore. But I was just, I really thought the world was ending. um, and I was still at that point like somebody else needed to help me. You know, that is what I thought. I really thought something would have to happen externally so that I could get better again and that I could continue. And it took me at least, I don't know, 3 to 4 weeks of being really depressed to realize that I was the only one who could make changes. And because I was so unwell, I couldn't really do a lot myself. I had to find something that was small but still intentional and had a real effect. And that is when I started to find those heiter moments or cheerful moments, as you described them earlier. Because I was only capable to leave the house for a cup of coffee, for instance, or to go for small walks or a little creative activity. And bit by bit, it really started to work, and I felt like myself again, and I felt joy again, which I didn't before. And eventually I really got better from it all. Yeah.
Wow, that's such a lot to go through. And the fact I'm in awe how you found that resilience to take those little steps and find those little things that did work for you.
Mm-hmm.
How did that lead on to what you're doing now?
Well, because I was so amazed with the result, like literally, because I did all those things and because I was better again, I could eventually go back to uni, I could go back to work, and I felt I was stronger and I came out of it, much more resilient, as you said before. I really had the urge to share that knowledge with other people. That led me to founding heiter. And around the same time, I also had to hand in a final project for university, and that was in the end a pilot version for the magazine. That was the journey, I guess.
Wow. What else was going on around in life at that sort of time?
Well, quite a lot, because I was offered a job in Munich at the same time. So we moved from England to Germany, and I was already married at that point. We moved. I graduated, and the reason why I moved was another job in the fashion luxury industry. Obviously I wanted to focus on the job as well, but because I was so passionate about heiter, I started to run it on the side. And I did that up until I had our son. That was 4 years later. Yeah.
Wow. And what did that feel like when you were sort of working but also trying to do your magazine project at the same time?
And definitely hard at times because it was just very full on. But at that point I didn't have children and it still felt possible. Obviously that was my marriage, and we had friends in Munich, but we didn't have any family, so the focus was very much on the jobs, and I had the time to on weekends or in the evenings to still work on it, and I had more energy as well. So it felt all right, and I actually achieved quite a lot looking back at it. Like I started in-person events for heiter. I had the social media site. There was the blog already. I didn't have the energy to go and produce a print publication yet. That only started later. But given the situation I was in back then, I do think I achieved quite a lot for heiter. And I also think that a lot of the community members that are around now are from that time, because I had the time to connect and engage and, be fully present. Yeah.
And how did you keep yourself aware? How were you able to sort of keep tuning into yourself and listening for those signs that perhaps you were going off the
Yeah.
doing too much or not
Yeah.
listening to
No.
yourself?
Obviously, because I had the experience back in 2016, I knew better, and I was much more aware of the little things I could do in between, which I wasn't before I had my burnout. So even though I juggled a lot, I always made sure that I consciously enjoyed my first warm drink in the morning, for instance, that I went for walks on my lunch breaks, for instance. That I met up with other people, because before I had my burnout, I think that was another reason why I got to the point where I was, is I didn't really see other people anymore. It was all just about work. So yeah, when I was in Munich, I was already very aware of, taking time out to see friends as well. And heiter in itself is such a creative project, and back then Instagram was very different to what it is right now, and I really took at the time to take photos as well, to style little scenes, do mini photo shoots, and I guess I found a lot of I filled my cup through that, it was just it was quite a good time for me, I think. I never felt like I was burned out anymore, because I already knew what the result was back in 2016, What I also got to really learn through that time is how to practice gratitude. Like even in the morning, waking up already thinking about the things I was grateful for, or before going to bed again. And that's still something I do today. I really think that's made a massive difference.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so vital, I think, and it can seem quite a sort of small thing, but that gratitude practice, when you build it up over time, yeah, it does have a cumulative effect, and I think it does rewire how you think about things and just how you see things and notice things.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
And it seems that creativity is quite important to you. How does that help you in your day-to-day life?
That really helps me connect with the person who I am, I think. I've always been very creative, and it brings me so much joy, expressing myself. Even when I get dressed in the morning, it's not just getting dressed. For me, that's a fun, creative thing, because I just come up with outfits that I hadn't worn before. And yeah, again, that's really the thing that fills my cup. I don't think I could do without creativity.
Yeah. So take me then, what happens then after you've been in Munich and you're you're working and also doing your project?
Really good work-life balance. Then I got pregnant with our son, and we knew that. I thought it'd be much better if I lived closer to family again. Having that first baby, so we moved from Munich to Austria just before I had him. However, he was born on the 1st of March 2020, and 2 weeks later we had a hard lockdown. And things, were just a little bit different than expected. Different, but not all bad. Obviously, the world situation was really worrying. But that opened up. Well, I was on parental leave as well, so I didn't work when my son, was little, but it also opened up a lot of new opportunities for heiter. I'm sure you can remember back then we were all really excited about going online, having calls, seeing friends and family online, attending workshops.
Yeah.
on social media. That year, as I already said, a lot of new opportunities for heiter arose. There was a bigger online community. I introduced online events for the first time. Brand collaborations emerged. It all felt very exciting. yeah, but oh, and that was, I guess, also my encouragement to then say, well, after my parental leave, I don't want to go back to my previous job. I want to focus on heiter fully. And yeah, that was the plan. Then I got pregnant with our daughter. It was about 2 years later. And at that point, I also ran the first, a crowdfunding campaign for the first heiter print issue. Because, you know, when I knew I would fully focus on heiter, I really wanted to bring my initial idea back. And while I was still very passionate about magazines, and it was always my dream to turn heiter into that full print publication. And the crowdfunding campaign was successful, and the magazine launched. And the same week, I had my daughter. And yeah, I really underestimated having 2 children. Yeah, then everything began to change again. Yeah, my son was he still is very gentle, and it was very easy for me to do work when he was asleep, or, you know, even a little bit next to him when he was younger. And I had quite a good childcare set up later on. But then, of course, with 2 children, it's all more of a juggle. Yeah. And yeah, things just got different. I don't know if you want me to expand on any of that, but yeah.
Yes, whatever you feel is, whatever you want to. But yeah, I hear you having 2 children, and especially, I think there's something that tricks us when we have our first one, and then we forget briefly all the hard things, and we see all the good things, and then you have another one, then you're like, oh my god, I've remembered it all.
Yeah. And you know, things were still good, but obviously the children needed way more attention than my business. And that was the first time where I really felt, it's getting a little bit more inconsistent. And inconsistency is probably not the best thing when you try to run your own business. Yeah.
But it's almost impossible to be consistent when you've got life happening around you.
Yeah, sure.
So how was that? You just launched the print publication then, and you've had your second child at the same time.
Yeah. So I still try to push through that launch, you know, send out all the copies that were already pre-ordered. But yeah, some things I really felt like it came to a halt. That brilliant online community I was talking about earlier, like I kept in touch with some of them, but I could tell I didn't have the time to sit there and engage online all the time anymore. And I was also quite limited with creating content. And it shaped the business in it just felt like I was in a different point than I was before having Clara, our daughter. And I needed to change things up so that it would still work for me, and so that I could sustain heiter, I guess. And a big part of that was definitely founding the Heiter Society. That's a society for magazine readers or community members, where we meet up for monthly workshops and get-togethers, and where we also offer group consulting sessions and co-working for some of the members. The idea for that already arose during the crowdfunding campaign for issue 1. And I had quite a few founding members from there, but especially when I had Clara, I realized how important that community actually is, because, you know, I had the regularity with them. Those workshops were all booked in, and I had to show up because I organized the workshops. We do have guest speakers for them. It wasn't just me being there, but I think in total, there were like 4 hours a month that I knew I had to book out despite having the children.
Mm-hmm.
And they were also, like self-care for myself. And that really kept me going, even when I couldn't show up online or I couldn't collaborate with anyone, I still had that. And that kept heiter going over the years. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like that community's been really key and really important right from the start of heiter.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And yeah, I love what you've created throughout that community. Yeah, it sounds amazing. And all the wonderful workshops and things you do. I'm just curious, at that time when there was so much pressure on your time to do looking after kids and so on. How did you feel at that time when you had to sort of park some of the things you wanted to do with heiter and focus on children and just sort of get through that period?
Yeah, definitely frustration.
Uh-huh.
Because, I've always been quite ambitious and I've always had big goals, and it took me a while to accept that was not the time to work towards that. My attention was needed somewhere else, and I definitely struggled with it. I struggled with it quite a bit at the beginning, but once I had accepted that was it, I could really lean into it, and it was then just okay, because with children, I'm sure you know that as well, everything is a phase. And once you've figured that out, that phases come and go, it's easier for you to accept that.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at life as well. It's all phases, nothing's permanent.
Yeah,
everything
sure. Mm-hmm.
changes. Yeah, I can really relate to that feeling of frustration though, when you're in one situation but you really want to be pushing forward with something else. And yeah, I guess, did your earlier experiences, learning what you did going through your burnout experience, sort of help with that situation, help you to accept things?
Yes, for sure, because it really changed my way of looking at life. And again, that going back to that, trying to be present in the current moment and being grateful for it, that helped as well. Because obviously I'm grateful. At that point, I was already grateful for my children. And I just had to, focus on that. Being there for them is the most important thing, or was the most important thing at that point, still is. It just helped me shift, I guess. Yeah. My thoughts.
So I'm curious, how do you see life now? How has it changed for you?
It's changed quite a bit again because, we moved again 1.5 years ago. We left Austria for Edinburgh because both my husband and I really missed living in the UK. And obviously with a move, there were a lot of challenges as well, like not having family around anymore, having very limited childcare, and it took us a while to feel settled. Yeah, it is all about being present and enjoying what you've got right now.
Mm-hmm.
And controlling the moment you're in. You cannot control the moment, but you can control the way you think about it.
Yeah.
If you really have that appreciation of what's there, then it helps you look at life differently in a way. Of course, there's still things I want to achieve in the future. But I don't really know what the future will throw at me. So I feel like I'm really at the point where I'm just like, okay, this is me right now. This is what I've got. And I want to get the best out of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've really been sort of practicing and leaning into living in the moment, and
Yes.
gratitude seems to be a huge part of that as well,
Sure.
which,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yes, I guess I'm imagining lots of people would be wishing they could live more in the moment and, yeah, stop worrying about what's going on in the past or what's going to happen in the future. Because, yeah, this is what we have right now.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips for people about how they can live a little bit more in the moment and stop worrying or...
Yeah. Well, one thing could be that you start a gratitude journal, even if it's just 3 or 5 things you write down each day. And another thing, what I do sometimes, because, well, with a mum and school runs and running a business, it's sometimes a little bit hard to take out time and stop. But there's a little practice that I do now and then, where I simply close my eyes for a minute and try to really focus on what I hear. Then I try to focus on what I can feel right now, how my body feels. I try to smell what's around me, like try to see if I can smell it. And then I often open my eyes and just try to figure out what I can see. And that helps me to really calm down. And then I usually just take a few breaths in and out, and that really calms me down.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I do that quite often as well, and it just helps to sort of really make you aware of what is around you, and it grounds you in that moment. So yeah, that's super, super helpful. And I see a lot of particularly business women that are really, they want to be really successful, they're really ambitious, but there's a lot to sort of juggle with and contend with, lots of competing things vying for your attention. I wonder, do you have any ideas of how we can sort of hold that tension between wanting to be super successful, in quotes, and also being true to ourselves and living in a way that's sustainable without breaking ourselves completely?
Yeah. It is quite a hard question because we're constantly bombarded with things that, well, at least that is how I feel whenever I go on social media. I see something where I'm like, oh, should I do the same or should I be there already? But, what helps me is reminding myself that my journey is literally my journey. Nobody else can have the journey. Like your journey will always be yours.
Yeah.
And I find that quite comforting. And then I also believe that, things come into our lives when the moment is right. Because I've had several situations in the past where I needed 2 attempts in order to get somewhere. And yeah, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Like jobs I wanted in the past, I often only got them when I applied for the second time. Or talking about the first print publication again, that crowdfunder I ran, I actually needed 2 attempts in order for it to be successful. And yeah, that really is proof, I think, that you can't force things to happen when they happen. And that's unfortunately something we all just have to learn and accept.
Yeah. And where do you think you got that resilience to sort of try again at these different things and keep moving forward and not giving up?
I do think, well, a clear vision. Yeah, I've always been very clear of what I'd like, how, well, of certain goals, or I guess also values. How do I want to live my lives? That's a really good anchor for me. But then also those heiter moments, like they really make a difference for me. Like those joyful moments in between, even though they're little, but they really help me to go through life, even though things are stressful, chaotic in my everyday life, even though there's a lot of bad media out there. They just help me see that life in the end is still really beautiful and that I can make the best out of it.
Yeah. I love what you said about my journey is my journey, and yeah, like trying to avoid the comparison trap, which whenever you log on to any sort of social media, you see other people doing wonderful things, and yeah, it's hard to when you've got that constant comparison.
It is, yeah. And
yeah, trying to stay in your own lane and stay on your own journey can be hard.
That in itself is also hard. I don't know how you deal with it, but that's again Instagram for myself, but I have a timer. After 45 minutes I just go off. And obviously that leaves me less time to engage and be present, check in with people, and I do realize that that's not the best way for my business. But yeah, it's a lot about protecting myself.
Yeah, I'm in that same space at the moment as well. Like I feel like I should be on socials, Instagram, LinkedIn and whatnot, but it's not my natural habitat, and also I just get drawn into it and it's not good for me. So I've actually, the past couple of months, I've blocked all the different social media channels at specific times, so I can't actually physically get onto them.
That's amazing.
Which has been brilliant for me, and I feel much better and I'm much more aware when I see something that I would naturally sort of compare myself to and then feel bad about. I'm much more aware of it now.
Yeah.
But then the flip side is I miss all these amazing notifications and opportunities that come up, and it's really hard to... I think a lot of people as well are trying to intentionally come away from social media at particular points in their day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's finding a way. I guess it's just scheduling in a time, a specific slot during the week.
Yeah, that's a good one.
To be visible, but yeah, I'm still in the process of working that out.
Yeah. And remembering that in the end, you just have to live up to your own expectation. Obviously, it's nice to get external recognition. But yeah, it's your life.
Exactly. So that makes me think of success then, because I don't know about you, but growing up, success was billed as having a high-flying career, successful family, blah, 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 whatever that is for you in your own particular circumstances. But for me, there wasn't a lot of other stuff, like a well-rounded life and being happy and having these joyful, peaceful moments. And it was all about more, because that's the sort of conditioning. So how have you defined success for yourself in your own life?
Being content. Funnily enough, there was always something my granny said, and I just thought, my granny, that's more than just being content. But I guess it's all because I'm older now. When I feel content, I feel most successful, and I feel most like I'm actually living my life. And of course, I have dreams, I have ambitions, particularly for the magazine. But that feeling in between of, just being there, knowing that I can love, that I am loved, that really makes me so much happier than anything else. And I truly hope that I will have many more days where I feel like that.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, content. It's, I think something which is, one of the best things that we can, I don't know if strive for is the right word, more, create space to find, is maybe a better way to put it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And yes, apologies, I seem to be asking you all the big, deep, meaningful questions today. We're recording this on a Friday and it's my thinking day, so yeah.
Well, I just hope that the answers are good enough.
Of course, this is, so useful, and I think a lot of people will find a lot of value in your journey, and some of the tips that you've shared as well, particularly around living in the moment and being on your own journey and really appreciating what is going on around you, however small those little moments are. Just paying attention to them and noticing more of them, I think, is really, really key. So yes, where are you with the magazine at the moment, and what plans and hopes have you got for the future?
Yeah, so well, we moved to Edinburgh a year and a half ago from Austria, and that certainly meant rebuilding the business and finding a different way of running it again, with very limited childcare around me. But I really feel like I've now arrived in Edinburgh, and there's a brilliant community here, and I hope that heiter will be even more present in that community. But of course, I want to build on a community I already have as well. There's definitely the goal to grow the heiter society. The ladies who are part of it, they really are the kindest, most supportive and creative people I've met. They're all really authentic, and I think authenticity is a big part of heiter. That's something I just want to grow more. The second print publication came out 2 years ago, and because of the move, I got a little bit delayed with producing issue 3. But if everything goes well, issue 3 will come out in September, with a launch event here in Edinburgh as well. In order to get there, I'm actually running another crowdfunding campaign right now. That one only started yesterday. It'll be on until the end of June. And that will give us that, or help with that first little push of getting the printing costs covered and the layouting costs. Those are the biggest costs that are involved in producing a magazine. And then we'll go from there. What I'm planning to have during the launch event in September is a heiter concept store, where I can hopefully have a curated selection of things that I think can support a heiter lifestyle. And maybe that's something I can build on as well for the future. But I definitely want to move more into build on the print publication side of heiter, and hopefully by doing so spread more heiterkeit in the world and remind people that we really can have calm and joyful and beautiful moments of life, even though the world around us is really messy.
Yes, and that's needed now more than ever. And yes, perhaps it would be great to maybe do some sort of collaboration at some point as well, maybe.
I would love that, yeah.
Yeah, an in-person event or something would be great.
Sure.
We can chat about that for sure.
Yeah, I'd be really up for that.
And I love the idea of a heiter concept store. Yeah, I can see that already. That would be amazing.
Thank you.
So you've shared so many wonderful tips and things already that people can maybe introduce into their days and their weeks going forward. Is there anything else, any other sort of tips or little rituals that you find yourself returning to when life gets a little bit overwhelming again, to sort of come back to yourself?
Checking in with yourself, reminding yourself what are the things that actually bring you joy. I think that really is a biggie. And because again, we get bombarded with so many things, and sometimes it's a little bit easy to forget what the things are that we really like, and then just trying to make a little bit of room for it, even if it's just if you are someone that enjoys dancing but you don't necessarily have the time for it, maybe you can dance doing cooking in the kitchen. There's so many little ways, or listen to a good book, or a podcast you enjoy on your school run. That is what I can highly recommend. Just making sure that you don't forget what you really like, and trying to figure out how you can incorporate that in your busy everyday life.
Yes, I love that. Creating a little joy list that you can pick from every day.
Yes.
And give yourself permission to do it without feeling guilty or anything.
For sure.
Oh, amazing. Is there anything that we've not talked about that you would like to share or talk about just now?
No, I think we've covered everything. Probably more than I intended.
No, it's been incredible. It's been so lovely, and thank you so much for being so open and sharing your journey, because I think that the more open we are, I think the more we can help other people, and that's clearly you've built such a community that's stuck with you and stayed with you and grown over those years, and it's exciting to see how you sort of take that forward and just help people to stay present in their everyday and enjoy what they've got in this moment without worrying about the future. And I think that's such a key lesson, and the more people that are helping other people achieve that, the better, I think. And you've shared so many valuable tips as well, whether it's a gratitude practice or just closing your eyes and thinking of some things that you can see, hear, feel, touch, etc., just to really bring yourself back and ground yourself. And yes, I'd encourage people just to accept that they're on their own journey and not compare themselves to anyone else's, and to do what you've done and create your own version of success in a way that works for you. So it's been so inspiring talking to you, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and I look forward to meeting you in person soon.
Yes, very soon. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you. If something in this episode stayed with you, don't try to change everything all at once. Just start with a moment. Make some tea, let it steep, take a breath, and notice what's actually there. And from there, choose whatever matters next for you. This is the Tea Mind. From presence to clarity, so you can live with intention.